It's a difficult truth to accept, but there are people in this world who quietly thrive on chaos. People who smile at you in daylight, yet carry intentions that don't match their words. And sometimes, the most dangerous individuals are not the ones who raise their voice or show their darkness openly, but the ones who hide it behind warmth, charm, and what feels like genuine connection. Think about it. You might be sharing your victories, your wounds, your private moments with someone you trust, only to later realize that the very person you believed in is the source of your confusion, your emotional exhaustion, or your self-doubt. It's frightening, but it's real. And more importantly, it's something you need to understand, because the Stoics taught that clarity is the foundation of peace. Today, you and I will walk through a path that almost every strong person eventually encounters, learning how to recognize the signs that you're dealing with someone whose intentions toward you are not rooted in goodness, honesty, or virtue. Whether it's someone at work, someone you love, or someone who simply appeared in your life at the wrong time but with the wrong energy, these signs matter. They matter because seeing clearly protects your mind. And as Epictetus said, if a person cannot harm your soul, they cannot harm you at all. But to protect your soul, you must first recognize what threatens it. This isn't about judging people. It's about recognizing behavior. It's about seeing patterns that the Stoics warned about centuries ago. Marcus Aurelius wrote that, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." When someone's inner colors are dark, deceptive, or cruel, they eventually spill into your life. And if you don't see the signs early, their influence can quietly stain everything: your confidence, your peace, your purpose. So today, we're not just uncovering the 5 signs of someone whose presence can harm you. We're uncovering how to guard your inner world, how to strengthen your mind, and how to protect your peace without losing your humanity. And if you stay with me to the end, I'm going to share one of the most effective boundary-setting principles I've ever come across: simple, firm, and powerful, a principle rooted directly in Stoic wisdom. Before we go deeper, if you find value in lessons like this, in understanding human behavior through the calm strength of Stoicism, I invite you to subscribe to Stoic Quiet Strength. This is where we grow silently but powerfully. Power in silence, that is our way. And trust me, you're going to want to hear every part of this message. Don't skip, because each sign connects to the next in ways most people never consider. Now let's begin. The first sign is often the most subtle, and the hardest to believe at first. It's something that feels good initially, something almost everyone falls for at least once. And that's what makes it so dangerous. The first sign is someone who appears charming and charismatic at the beginning. This type of person has an uncommon ability to make you feel seen. Not just noticed, but seen. They know how to greet you with warmth, how to use their voice like music, how to compliment you in ways that feel genuine. They wear friendliness like a perfect mask, smooth and polished. And at first, you might think you've met someone unusually thoughtful or unusually uplifting. But that's the trap. Because for people with harmful intentions, charm is not a natural trait. It is a tool. At the surface, everything looks beautiful. They laugh easily, they listen intently, and they speak in ways that make you feel like your presence matters. They might even mirror your gestures or your interests, creating a sense of connection that feels almost instant. But the Stoics warned us, impressions are deceiving. Seneca said, "The first appearance deceives many." And when it comes to a person whose intentions are not pure, their first appearance is precisely where the deception begins. You might meet them at a gathering, and within a few minutes, they become the center of the room. People are drawn to them effortlessly. They tell stories that make everyone laugh, or share vulnerabilities that seem so open, so honest, so relatable. They seem like someone you just have to keep close. But eventually, the cracks begin to show, not immediately, never immediately, because deception thrives in patience. At first, you might notice that they always need attention. They enjoy the spotlight a little too much. Whenever the room's energy shifts away from them, they find subtle ways to pull it back. Maybe they interrupt just a little too often. Maybe they insert themselves into conversations in a way that feels forced. Or maybe they subtly redirect conversations back to themselves whenever you talk about something meaningful. These behaviors don't seem harmful at first. You might even excuse them, thinking, oh, they're just outgoing. But slowly, you'll notice the pattern. The charm is a blanket covering something else, a hunger for control, admiration, or influence. And here's where the danger begins. A person with harmful intentions will always be the warmest at the beginning. The warmth is not who they are, it's bait. The Stoics would say this is where your rational mind must rise above emotion. You must observe, not just feel. Because the charm of such a person is not love. It's strategy. Imagine going out with them and noticing how they speak to others when they think nobody cares. Maybe they dismiss someone gently in public but sharply in private. Maybe they show irritation when someone else gets praised. Maybe they subtly tear others down but wrap it in humor or sarcasm. If you pay attention, you'll realize that the charm only flows when it benefits them. The moment it doesn't, the moment the environment doesn't feed their ego, their tone shifts. Epictetus advised, if you wish to know the mind of a man, listen to his words when he is angry. Watch what happens when things don't go their way. A genuinely good person stays grounded. But someone who uses charm as a tool, they reveal their real nature the moment their control slips. They may become defensive. They may attempt to guilt-trip you. They may accuse you of misunderstanding them, or twist the situation to regain dominance. And yet, despite these red flags, you might still hesitate to believe what you're seeing. Why? Because they made you feel special at the beginning. That early charm is powerful. It creates an emotional imprint that the mind is reluctant to rewrite. But the Stoics teach us to pursue truth over comfort. To see clearly, even when clarity hurts. Because clarity saves you from deeper harm later. A person who begins with excess charm is not always dangerous. But when the charm is paired with self-centeredness, control, or emotional volatility, it becomes a weapon. And recognizing this early protects you from the deeper manipulation that comes next. Over time, you will see that this person's so-called charm was never about connection. It was about capturing your trust so they could move into your life with less resistance. Their gestures were not kindness, they were investments in future influence. Their friendliness was not sincerity, it was camouflage. Charm is beautiful when it grows naturally from character. But charm that appears too quickly and too intensely often hides something darker. This is why Marcus Aurelius reminded himself constantly to look beneath the surface. Beneath the glow of this person's charisma, you will find intention. And intention is what truly defines someone, not their smile, not their compliments, not their stories, but the purpose behind their actions. Once you recognize this first sign, you shift from being vulnerable to observant. You begin to watch not just how they make you feel, but how they treat others, how they handle setbacks, and how they behave when nobody is watching. And that awareness is the beginning of your power. When you begin to look beneath the surface of someone who hides behind charm, the second sign begins to reveal itself slowly but unmistakably. And this sign is one of the clearest indicators that you're in the presence of someone whose intentions toward you are not rooted in goodness. This sign is a lack of empathy. Not a temporary lapse, not a moment of distraction, but a consistent inability to understand or care about the emotional reality of another human being. Empathy is one of the most natural expressions of our shared humanity. It's what allows us to comfort someone who is hurting, celebrate someone who has succeeded, or simply understand that our actions have consequences beyond ourselves. But a person with harmful tendencies sees other people through a different lens. To them, people are not individuals, they're tools, stepping stones, sources of attention, or obstacles. And when someone views the world that way, empathy becomes unnecessary, even inconvenient. You can often sense this lack of empathy not through dramatic moments, but through small and repeated patterns. For example, imagine sharing something meaningful or painful with this person. Instead of responding with understanding, they might shrug it off, minimize it, or turn the conversation back to themselves. They might even mock your vulnerability or give advice so cold and dismissive that it leaves you feeling worse than before. The Stoics taught that wisdom begins with understanding human nature, and when someone repeatedly shows that your emotions do not matter to them, that is not a flaw, it is a reflection of who they truly are. Sometimes, this lack of empathy shows up in their reaction to your success. A healthy person finds joy in the success of someone they care about. But someone whose inner world is shaped by ego or envy reacts differently. When you accomplish something, instead of celebrating with you, they might downplay it. They might change the subject. They might shift the conversation to their own achievements. Or they might congratulate you with words that sound supportive but carry a subtle undertone that makes you feel guilty or undeserving. You might ask yourself, why would someone react this way? And the answer is simple: empathy requires emotional depth, and harmful individuals fear emotional depth because it interrupts their control. Caring about others creates accountability, and accountability is something they avoid. Seneca once said, "He who is cruel is also a coward." A person who lacks empathy is emotionally cowardly. They are afraid to care, afraid to connect, afraid to acknowledge the humanity of others because that would force them to see the emptiness within themselves. Another place where you'll notice this lack of empathy is in how they respond when someone else is suffering. They may show a lack of concern when a loved one is struggling. They may speak harshly about someone going through a difficult time, viewing pain as weakness instead of an unavoidable part of life. They may even appear irritated by someone else's sadness because it draws attention away from them. Their world is built on self-importance, and in that world, empathy is an inconvenience. This trait becomes even more harmful when you look at how they treat people they believe cannot benefit them. Watch closely how they speak to those who work in service roles, or how they treat someone who has nothing to offer them. A good person treats others with respect regardless of status. A harmful person reserves respect for moments when they're being watched, or for people they want something from. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The measure of a man is how he behaves to those who can do him no good." If someone is dismissive, rude, or indifferent to people they believe are beneath them, understand that this lack of empathy is not selective, it is who they are. There are also moments where their lack of empathy becomes painfully obvious. Imagine confiding in them about a deep wound, something that took courage for you to share. Instead of understanding the weight of your words, they might respond with annoyance or impatience. They might accuse you of being dramatic. They might twist your vulnerability into something they can use later, turning your honesty into a weapon. And the worst part is that after you walk away from the conversation, you feel smaller. And that feeling is not accidental. People with harmful intentions often exploit vulnerability instead of honoring it. Empathy is what allows two people to feel safe with one another. Without empathy, there is no safety, only power dynamics, manipulation, and emotional imbalance. Epictetus warned, Be careful whom you allow into your inner circle. A person who cannot empathize will eventually drain you, confuse you, or make you feel alone even when you're physically with them. Lack of empathy also shows in how they handle your boundaries. When you express discomfort or ask for space, they may dismiss your feelings entirely. They might make you feel guilty for wanting something reasonable. They might reinterpret your boundary as rejection. They might act offended or act as though your feelings are an inconvenience rather than something worth understanding. A harmful person sees your needs as obstacles to their desires. And when someone believes that their wants are more important than your welfare, that is a dangerous mindset. Another red flag in this category is how they respond when they hurt you. A person with empathy might feel remorse, apologize sincerely, or at least acknowledge that they caused harm. But someone without empathy will deny, minimize, or shift blame. They might say things like, "You're too sensitive," "You misunderstood," or "You're making something out of nothing." They transform their wrongdoing into your fault. This is one of the clearest signs of all. When someone is more concerned with protecting their ego than acknowledging your pain, you're dealing with a person whose heart is not aligned with goodness. You may also see their lack of empathy in their reactions to the consequences of their own actions. When something they did harms someone else, they don't reflect on the harm, they complain about the inconvenience it caused them. If someone gets upset with them, they feel attacked. If someone confronts them, they feel victimized. They cannot put themselves in another person's shoes, even for a moment. Everything loops back to their own feelings, their own discomfort, their own narrative. This is where the Stoics become essential. The Stoics teach that your power lies in how you respond internally, not in how others behave externally. When someone lacks empathy, your peace is protected not by changing them, but by seeing them clearly. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "When you know what a thing is, you know what to do with it." Once you recognize that this person cannot feel with you, cannot understand you, and cannot value your emotional world, you stop expecting emotional reciprocity. And when you stop expecting it, you stop being hurt by the absence of it. A harmful person often reveals their lack of empathy even in their humor. They may enjoy jokes that put others down. They may laugh at someone else's pain or find entertainment in someone else's embarrassment. They may tease in ways that sting, and when you express that it hurt, they may tell you that you're overreacting. Humor is one of the easiest places to spot a lack of empathy because humor reveals values. What someone laughs at tells you what they feel inside. You can also see this lack of empathy in how they handle long-term relationships. People who lack empathy often have patterns of broken friendships, unresolved conflicts, or people who just stop talking to them for no reason. The truth is, there was a reason. People eventually feel drained, used, or unappreciated. And instead of reflecting on their own behavior, the harmful person blames everyone else. One of the most striking traits of someone who lacks empathy is how quickly they can move on from someone else's pain, especially pain they caused. Imagine pouring out your heart to someone, telling them how deeply something affected you, and within moments, they're acting as though the conversation never happened. They move on because your emotions are not real to them. They don't hold weight in their world. If your feelings don't benefit them, they simply erase them. The Stoics would tell you to observe carefully and love wisely. Epictetus said, "Only the educated are free." Educated not in school, but in self-awareness. When you become aware that someone consistently lacks empathy, you gain the freedom to protect yourself from the deeper wounds they are capable of causing. This lack of empathy is not always loud. Sometimes it's subtle, quiet, almost invisible to the untrained eye. But once you learn to see it, you will never unsee it again. Because the absence of empathy is one of the strongest signs that someone is not guided by virtue, not grounded in truth, and not capable of loving in the way love was meant to be. And when this lack of empathy combines with something else, something more strategic, more calculated, more psychological, you step into the territory of the third sign. And this next sign is where many people lose themselves without realizing how it happened. This third sign is one of the most dangerous, because it works not on your skin, not on your emotions alone, but on your perception of reality itself. The third sign is manipulation. Manipulation is not always loud or theatrical. Sometimes it appears as kindness with conditions, apologies that feel empty, or compliments that don't smell like sincerity. Sometimes it hides behind humor, behind logic, behind responsibility. What makes manipulation so powerful is that it doesn't force you, it nudges you. It shifts you 1 degree at a time, like a compass that's been tampered with. At first you're walking in the right direction, and before you know it, you're lost in a place that doesn't even feel like you anymore. The Stoics warned against allowing anyone to disturb the clarity of your mind. Epictetus said, when someone tries to influence your mind, guard it as you would treasure. Manipulators are experts at influencing the mind, not by giving you truth, but by bending it ever so slightly. Manipulation often begins when the person realizes that charm alone is no longer enough to maintain influence over you. They sense that your intuition is waking up. So what do? They shift techniques. They begin to play games with your perception. Imagine you point out something they did that hurt you. Instead of listening, they suddenly appear confused, almost offended that you would even think that way. They might say things like, "I don't remember it that way," or "You're reading too much into things," or "You're blowing this out of proportion." And at first, you might believe them. They say it so confidently. They say it with a straight face. They speak as though they hold the universal truth and you're the one who misunderstood. That's the beginning of doubt. Not doubt in them, doubt in yourself. And that's exactly what a manipulator wants. Manipulators know that the most powerful form of control is not physical force, it's psychological confusion. When someone can make you question your own memory, your own feelings, your own interpretations, they have already won half the battle. Seneca once wrote, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." Manipulation preys on your imagination. It makes you imagine that you might be wrong, that you might be unreasonable, that you might be the source of the problem, even when you aren't. Another method manipulators use is playing the victim. When confronted, instead of addressing the issue, they flip the roles. Suddenly, you're the one who hurt them. Suddenly, they're the wounded one. They speak in a tone that makes you feel guilty, or they bring up something irrelevant from weeks ago, months ago, even years ago, to prove that you're the unreasonable one. Suddenly the entire argument shifts away from their actions and toward your supposed wrongdoing. You leave the conversation confused, apologizing for something that was never the problem, carrying guilt that doesn't belong to you, while the real issue remains hidden in the shadows. But the Stoics teach something powerful here. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it, if it is not true, do not say it." Someone who manipulates does the opposite. They speak untruths, they twist what is right, and they build illusions to protect their ego. That is why recognizing manipulation is a form of self-defense. Manipulation becomes even clearer when you notice how they use timing. For example, they might suddenly become extremely affectionate or generous, but only when they sense you pulling away. At first, it feels relieving, even hopeful. It makes you think, maybe they care. Maybe things will change. But soon after, the old patterns return. Why? Because the affection was not genuine, it was bait. A temporary effort to regain the emotional ground they felt slipping. And manipulators are masters of selective memory. They forget their promises, but remember every mistake you've ever made. They forget the times they hurt you, but remember the one time you raised your voice. They forget the chaos they caused, but remember every moment you looked tired, upset, or distant, and they use those moments as evidence against you. This creates a mental imbalance. You feel like you're always defending yourself, always proving your intentions, always explaining things that shouldn't need explaining. You spend so much energy trying to be understood that you forget to ask a simple question: are they even trying to understand you? A person who wants to harm you doesn't need to break your trust directly. All they need to do is create doubt within you. That's the seed of manipulation. Once it's planted, they water it with guilt, attention, affection, arguments, silence, whatever tool works best on you. For example, imagine you decide to spend time alone, or with a friend, or pursue something that makes you happy. Instead of supporting you, they shift the mood. They might act cold, distant, or hurt. They might say something subtle like, "I guess you don't need me," or, "It's fine, go do what you want," in a tone that sounds like they're being understanding but feels like a trap. What they're really doing is conditioning you. And over time, you stop choosing what you want and start choosing what avoids conflict. That's manipulation. Epictetus warned, "No person has the power to make you do wrong, but they can persuade you if you let them." Manipulation is persuasion built on emotion, not truth. It's convincing you to sacrifice your needs, your values, even your identity, not because you want to, but because they've worn down your resolve. Manipulators also create dependency. They might isolate you from people who care about you, often subtly. They might say things like, "I don't think that friend is really good for you," or, "Your family doesn't understand you like I do." At first, it feels protective. Later, it becomes isolating. Before you know it, they become your primary source of validation, conversation, comfort, or conflict. When someone becomes the only voice you listen to, they become the voice that shapes your reality. Another technique manipulators use is inconsistency. One day they're warm, loving, supportive. The next day they're cold, distant, irritated. You begin to wonder what you did wrong. You start adjusting your behavior to earn their good moods. You begin to walk on mental eggshells, afraid to trigger their shift in tone. This creates emotional dependency. Your peace begins to depend on their approval. And once your peace is tied to another person, they control you without ever needing to say a word. It's important to notice how manipulators respond when you try to step back or set boundaries. They don't respect the boundary, they negotiate with it. They might suddenly act overly kind, or promise to change, or give dramatic speeches about how much they care. But it never lasts. It's not transformation. It's a temporary performance. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Manipulators want the opposite. They want power over your mind. They want influence over your choices. They want to shape what you believe about yourself. A classic form of manipulation is emotional exhaustion. They might argue with you until you give in simply because you're tired. They might bring up multiple points at once, overwhelming you with so much information that you can't even respond logically. They might confront you late at night, when your guard is down. They might call you during your busiest moments, demanding emotional energy you don't have. Over time, this wears down your resistance, and you begin to give in, not because they're right, but because you're drained. Manipulators know when to apply pressure and when to pull back. They know when to guilt-trip you and when to flatter you. They know when to argue and when to stay silent so that the silence becomes punishment. These patterns aren't accidental, they're learned behaviors. They're habits built over years of seeing what works on others. And here's something most people don't realize: manipulators often appear incredibly charming to outsiders. They choose their masks carefully. They know how to present themselves to the world. They know how to blend in socially. They know how to play the role of the friendly helper, the wise advisor, the kind partner. But privately, away from the eyes of others, they shape a different reality entirely. People often say, "But others don't see what I see." Of course they don't. Manipulators operate differently depending on the audience. So how do you protect yourself? With clarity. With awareness. With inner strength. With exactly what the Stoics taught. Seneca said, "To be everywhere is to be nowhere. To be divided is to be weak." Manipulation works by dividing your mind, pulling it in multiple directions until it loses its center. The antidote is to stay centered. To know what you know. To trust your reality. To stay anchored in truth, not flattery, guilt, or pressure. The moment you recognize manipulation, the spell begins to break. You stop blaming yourself. You stop explaining yourself. You stop justifying what doesn't make sense. You begin to see the techniques for what they are, not what they pretend to be. But when a manipulator senses that these techniques are losing power, they shift into something even more controlling. Something more blatant. Something harder to ignore. And that leads us into the fourth sign, where hidden control turns into open control, and the patterns become impossible to deny. This next sign is one of the strongest indicators that someone's intentions toward you are not rooted in kindness. It is the point where influence turns into restriction, and suggestion turns into domination. The fourth sign is controlling behavior. Control doesn't always look like force. It doesn't always look like shouting commands or giving direct orders. Sometimes it starts so softly that you almost mistake it for care. You mistake it for concern. They might say things like, "I just want what's best for you," or "I'm only trying to help." But over time, the tone changes, the comments change, the expectations change, until suddenly, you notice that you're no longer living your life, you're living theirs. People who seek control rarely show it all at once. At first, they simply make suggestions. Little ones. About your habits, your decisions, your friendships, your routines. Then the suggestions turn into preferences. Then preferences turn into expectations. And eventually, expectations turn into rules, silent rules, unspoken rules, rules that you didn't agree to but somehow feel pressured to follow. Control grows gradually, the way vines creep up a wall, quietly, until the wall is no longer visible. One of the earliest signs of controlling behavior is when the person begins to dictate how you spend your time. They want to know where you're going, when you'll be back, and who you'll be with. At first, it might seem sweet or thoughtful. You might even interpret it as them caring about your safety. But soon, the questions become less about concern and more about monitoring. Imagine you mention that you want to spend the afternoon alone, or with a friend, or doing something you enjoy. Instead of simply accepting it, they respond with disappointment, irritation, or suspicion. They might say things like, "Why do you want to go without me?" or "Are you hiding something?" or "I just want to be included." And even though their tone sounds calm, the message underneath is not calm at all. The message is, "Your time belongs to me." This is where the Stoics guide us. Epictetus said, "No person is free who is not master of himself." A controlling individual tries to make you less the master of yourself. Little by little, they become the voice you answer to. The voice you explain yourself to. The voice you're trying not to upset. But the moment you feel obligated to justify your choices to someone who is not your guardian or your mentor, that's not partnership. That's control. Another form of controlling behavior is when they begin to dictate your social circle. They might criticize the friends who make you laugh. They might say your family is too demanding. They might make negative remarks about anyone who gets your attention besides them. They usually don't start with outright commands like, "Stop talking to that person." Instead, they plant seeds, "I don't think they really care about you," or "That person doesn't seem good for you," or "I get a weird feeling about them." And suddenly, you find yourself questioning relationships that meant something to you long before this person ever arrived. But here's the truth, good people don't isolate you. Only controlling people do. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself constantly that human beings are social creatures. To cut someone off from their community is to cut them off from a critical part of their well-being. Next, pay attention to how they respond when you express a boundary. If someone respects you, they honor your boundaries. But a controlling person treats your boundaries like obstacles. They push against them. They negotiate with them. They guilt-trip you for having them. They treat your discomfort as an inconvenience and your needs as a challenge. It might look like this. You say, "I'm uncomfortable with this." And instead of listening, they say, "You're overreacting." You say, "I need some space." And they say, "Why are you being distant?" You say, "I can't do that today." And they say, "I guess I don't matter to you." Boundaries are tests. They reveal character. And someone who refuses to accept your boundaries is someone who intends to control your choices. Another clear sign of controlling behavior is when the person tries to manage your emotions. They want to decide when you're allowed to feel sad, or tired, or stressed. They might say things like, "You shouldn't be upset about that," or "Why are you so emotional?" or "That's not a big deal." What they're doing is slowly rewriting your emotional world. They want to teach you which emotions are acceptable to them. Your feelings begin to depend on their approval. And once someone controls your emotions, they control your behavior. The Stoics teach the opposite. Seneca said, "No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself." Controlling people do not allow you the freedom of your own adversity, your own emotions, your own growth. They want to oversee your internal world. That is the deepest form of control. Controlling behavior can also appear in the way they handle disagreements. In a healthy relationship, disagreements lead to understanding. But with a controlling person, disagreements lead to dominance. They might raise their voice, or talk over you, or twist your words, or repeat the same argument until you lose the will to continue. You may find yourself apologizing just to end the tension. You may find yourself nodding even when you disagree, simply because you're exhausted. Over time, you start avoiding conflict altogether. You become quieter. You become smaller. You stop sharing things because you want to maintain peace. But this peace is not peace, it is silence forced by fear of reaction. Another sign of controlling behavior is financial control. This can show up in partnerships, friendships, or family relationships. A controlling person might insist on managing all the money for convenience. They might criticize your spending. They might give you limited access to resources. They might make you dependent on them financially so that you can't leave, even if you want to. Financial control is one of the strongest forms of dominance because it affects your choices, your safety, and your independence. A person who holds your resources holds a significant part of your life. This is why the Stoics emphasized self-sufficiency. Marcus Aurelius said, "The things you think you need bind you." A controlling person wants you to need them. Dependency is a form of binding. When someone tries to make you rely on them for everything, emotional support, social interaction, financial stability, they are building a cage around your life, slowly, piece by piece. Another method controllers use is tracking. They want to know where you are, who you're with, what you're doing, and why you're doing it. They claim it's concern. But concern does not demand constant updates. Concern does not demand location. Concern does not demand explanation. When someone feels entitled to your whereabouts, that's not love, that's ownership. You might also notice that a controlling person reacts strongly when you show signs of independence. If you make a decision without them, pursue a new hobby, meet new people, or simply express a desire that doesn't involve them, they may become irritated or threatened. They want to be at the center of your choices. They want your world to revolve around them. And when it doesn't, they feel disrespected. Controlling behavior often escalates when the person believes they are losing grip. They may suddenly become more demanding, more critical, or more emotionally volatile. They might give you ultimatums. They might guilt-trip you into compliance. They might push the narrative that you're being disloyal, cold, or distant. But these reactions reveal the truth: they were never interested in partnership. They were only interested in control. One of the most painful parts of dealing with a controlling person is how they reshape your sense of self over time. You might start to doubt your decisions. You might hesitate to express your thoughts. You might feel nervous doing simple things that used to feel natural. You might find yourself constantly adjusting your behavior to avoid conflict. And slowly, without realizing it, you lose pieces of yourself. Epictetus warned of this when he said, "If you wish to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." In other words, you must be willing to stand firm, even when someone tries to make you feel wrong or small. A controlling person feeds off your discomfort. They gain power when you shrink. The antidote is to remain grounded in who you are. It's important to understand something crucial: controlling behavior is not always obvious at the beginning, but it becomes unmistakable as time goes on. Someone who seeks control will eventually reveal that they do not want equality. They want compliance. They do not want partnership. They want dominance. They do not want to share your life. They want to shape it. And once controlling behavior becomes part of the dynamic, it starts to blend with something even darker, something that often accompanies control and manipulation. It is the destruction of truth itself. That leads us into the fifth sign, one that deepens the harm and erodes the foundation of every relationship it touches. It is the sign that makes all the others possible. And once you see it clearly, you will understand just how deeply a harmful person can affect the mind. When someone has used charm to draw you in, used lack of empathy to diminish your emotional world, used manipulation to cloud your perception, and used control to shape your choices, there is one final sign that often holds everything together. One behavior that acts like the glue of all the others. Without this one trait, their entire pattern collapses. With it, they maintain power over your reality itself. The fifth sign is pathological lying. Lying is more than just telling an untruth. Anyone can lie once in a moment of fear, shame, or embarrassment. But pathological lying is different. It's deliberate, consistent, strategic. It has purpose. It has rhythm. It has intention. It bends reality in favor of the liar, slowly reshaping how you think, how you doubt, and how you understand the world around you. A pathological liar doesn't just lie to avoid consequences. They lie to build a world where they can maintain control, admiration, sympathy, or power. A world where truth becomes optional and your confusion becomes their advantage. The Stoics believed that living in truth was the foundation of virtue. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If it is not true, do not say it." Someone who consistently lies abandons this foundation completely. They live outside the laws of honesty and inside the realm of personal invention. The first way pathological lying shows up is through small inconsistencies. Little details that don't quite add up. A story that changes slightly each time they tell it. An excuse that sounds rehearsed. A timeline that doesn't make sense. At first, you might overlook these things. You might give them the benefit of the doubt. You might assume they simply misremembered. But over time, the inconsistencies pile up. A lie here. A contradiction there. A story that gets more dramatic each time. And slowly, you begin to realize that this person is not confused. They are constructing. One of the most disturbing parts of pathological lying is how natural it feels to the liar. Their facial expressions, tone of voice, and body language often match their lies perfectly. They don't look nervous. They don't hesitate. They speak as though they genuinely believe the false reality they create. It's not talent, it's habit. Imagine a moment where you confront them about something you know is false. Instead of admitting it, they turn the situation around. They claim you misunderstood. They claim someone else told you the wrong thing. They claim you took their words out of context. They might even accuse you of being paranoid or mistrustful. Suddenly, you're the one explaining yourself. You're the one doubting your memory. You're the one trying to piece together what's real and what's not. That's the power of pathological lying. They don't just hide the truth. They manufacture confusion. They don't just deny facts. They rewrite them. They don't just avoid accountability. They shift it onto you. Seneca once warned, "Truth is simple. A lie breeds 1,000 more." This is exactly how pathological lying works. When confronted with one lie, they create another to cover it. When that one collapses, they create 2 more. Their stories multiply like branches that keep splitting. And the more tangled the branches become, the easier it is for them to hide behind them. Another form of pathological lying appears when they exaggerate or fabricate stories to gain sympathy. They may paint themselves as the victim of every conflict they've ever been in. They may invent dramatic experiences from their past to earn your compassion. They may claim that friends, family members, or co-workers treated them terribly, even when the truth is far more complicated. Why do they do this? Because lying allows them to manipulate your perception of others. If they convince you that everyone else has wronged them, you are more likely to side with them. You are more likely to trust their version of events. You are more likely to feel protective. And protection is something harmful people crave, because once you feel responsible for them, they gain power over you. Another subtle form of pathological lying is when they lie about what they themselves have said. You may recall a conversation clearly, word for word. They may have made a promise, a confession, a declaration. But when it becomes inconvenient, they deny it. They claim the conversation never happened. They say, "I never said that," or "You must have heard me wrong," or "You're twisting my words." Eventually, you start questioning your own memory. That's the goal. Once you doubt your own recollection, they become the authority of truth. A pathological liar will also lie about how they feel. They might claim to be okay when they aren't. They might pretend to be hurt when they aren't. They might fake anger, sadness, disappointment, or even affection, if it helps them get what they want. Their emotions become tools. Their expressions become strategies. This is why Epictetus said, "If you want the truth, do not be swayed by appearances." A pathological liar lives through appearances. They create illusions of who they are, illusions of what they want, illusions of how they feel. One of the darkest aspects of pathological lying is how casually they betray people's trust. You might tell them something personal, believing you're confiding in someone who cares. But later, you discover they twisted your words or shared your secrets to gain favor or control elsewhere. They lie not just about themselves, they lie about others. They lie about situations. They lie about intentions. They lie even when there is no reason to lie at all. Why? Because lying gives them a sense of power. Because shaping someone else's reality makes them feel superior. Because the truth feels too small for the story they want to create. Pathological lying is also dangerous because it doesn't always come with confrontation. Sometimes you discover the lies silently, through someone else's comment, through a detail that slips out, through evidence that contradicts their claims. When this happens, you don't just feel betrayed. You feel foolish. You feel unanchored. You feel as though you trusted someone who never existed. Marcus Aurelius warned, if someone shows you their character once, believe it the first time. A pathological liar shows their character through patterns. A single lie may be a mistake. Repeated lies are identity. You can also detect pathological lying through their inability to take responsibility. When confronted, they either deny everything completely or redirect the focus onto you. They may accuse you of mistrust. They may act insulted. They may suddenly become very emotional, using tears, frustration, or silence to manipulate the moment. They do everything except address the lie itself. And when they realize you're catching on, their lies evolve. They become more subtle, more selective, more believable. They might lie only about things that are hard to verify. They might lie in ways that make you question whether it's even worth confronting. They might lie through omission rather than direct invention. Pathological lying is not just the telling of falsehoods, it is the crafting of a reality where truth is optional. Another painful sign is how they lie in public versus how they lie in private. In public, their lies are often charming. They make themselves look admirable, kind, successful, or wise. They shape a persona that draws people in. But in private, their lies are defensive. They are used to manipulate you, control you, or keep you in a confused emotional state. The contrast between their public image and their private actions is often enormous. And when you point out the inconsistency, they accuse you of misjudging them. You begin to see that they are two different people, the one they show the world, and the one they show you. But the most dangerous part of pathological lying is not the lies themselves, it's the erosion of your own inner compass. When someone lies to you long enough, you begin to doubt yourself. You begin to second-guess your instincts. You start seeking clarity from the very person who is confusing you. Your confidence weakens. Your self-trust dissolves. And when someone controls your sense of truth, they can control almost anything. This is why the Stoics emphasized grounding yourself in your own judgment. Marcus Aurelius said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." A pathological liar disrupts the quality of your thoughts. They cloud your mind. They distort your clarity. They make you question what is real and what is imagined. But here's the powerful truth. Once you recognize pathological lying, everything begins to make sense. The inconsistencies, the manipulation, the emotional imbalance, the confusion, suddenly, it all aligns. You realize that it was never your memory that was faulty. It was their honesty. Recognizing pathological lying is liberating. It allows you to step outside of the false world they created. It allows you to reclaim your clarity. It allows you to rebuild your trust in your own observation. Yet awareness alone isn't enough. How do you protect yourself from people who lie, manipulate, isolate, control, and drain you emotionally? How do you guard your peace in a world full of personalities like this? This is where the bonus lesson, the final piece of the puzzle, comes in. Now that you've seen the 5 signs, the charm, the lack of empathy, the manipulation, the control, and the lies, the next question becomes the most important one of all. How do you protect yourself? How do you stand firm in your peace, your truth, your inner strength, especially when someone like this tries to pull your life into their chaos? And that brings us to the bonus lesson, the art of setting boundaries. Boundaries are not walls of anger. They are not punishments. They are not dramatic exits or emotional speeches. Boundaries are agreements you make with yourself about what you will and will not allow into your mental space. They are quiet rules that guard your peace and clarify your expectations. They are the invisible lines that protect your well-being without requiring anyone else's permission. The most powerful thing about boundaries is that harmful people hate them. Why? Because boundaries remove their ability to manipulate. Boundaries remove their ability to control. Boundaries take back your power. Setting boundaries begins with something simple, honesty with yourself. You must acknowledge where you feel drained, where you feel uncomfortable, where you feel disrespected. Sometimes, we avoid this honesty because we want to see the best in people. We tell ourselves that things will get better. We explain away the behaviors that hurt us. But the Stoics remind us to see life as it is, not as we wish it to be. Marcus Aurelius said, "The nearer you come to a truth, the more peace you will find." Truth brings peace. Avoidance brings exhaustion. So begin by asking yourself quietly, what behaviors have I been tolerating that are slowly breaking me down? What conversations leave me feeling small? What patterns keep repeating even when I've spoken up? What parts of myself have I abandoned trying to keep this person comfortable? These questions are not easy. They require courage. But setting boundaries requires courage because boundaries are how you reclaim your life. Once you've identified what harms you, the next step is clarity. You must decide what you will no longer accept. Not what you wish they would stop, not what you hope will change, but what you yourself will no longer participate in. For example, I will not stay in conversations where I'm being insulted. I will not explain myself multiple times when my words are ignored. I will not allow someone to guilt me out of my choices. I will not allow someone to disrespect my time. I will not let someone's emotions dictate my actions. These are boundaries, not threats, not arguments, just personal rules. Epictetus said, "No man is free until he learns to command himself." Boundaries are a form of self-command. They are not about controlling others. They are about controlling your access, your energy, your closeness, your responses. Anyone can say, "I deserve respect." But a boundary says, if you cannot give respect, you lose access to me. The next step is communication. You do not need long speeches. You do not need dramatic scenes. You do not need emotional explanations. Boundaries are most powerful when spoken calmly and directly. For example, "I'm not comfortable with that. I'm ending this conversation now. That doesn't work for me. I won't continue if I'm being talked to this way." Notice how simple these statements are. No anger. No justifications. No emotional fire. Boundaries are strongest when they are quiet. Remember, your brand name is Stoic Quiet Strength, Power in Silence. Boundaries are the perfect expression of that philosophy. They are strength spoken softly. The next part is the hardest: consistency. A harmful person will test your boundaries. Not once. Not twice. Repeatedly. They will test the silence, test the limits, test the patience. They will try different strategies: sadness, anger, guilt, promises, charm. They want to know one thing: will you hold your line? If you waver, they learn that your boundaries are flexible. If you stay firm, they learn that you have returned to yourself. Consistency is the part where most people fail, not because they are weak, but because they are compassionate. But compassion without boundaries becomes self-destruction. This is why Seneca said, "A man who suffers before it is necessary, suffers more than necessary." Allowing someone to cross your boundaries repeatedly is suffering before it is needed. Another important part of boundary setting is understanding that you do not need someone's agreement or approval. A harmful person might argue with your boundary, twist your words, accuse you of being selfish, or act offended. None of that matters. Your boundary is for you, not for them. A boundary is not something they obey. A boundary is something you enforce. For example, you say, "I'm not staying where I'm being disrespected." They respond, "You're overreacting." Your boundary does not change. You simply remove yourself. They may attempt to pull you back into conversation. You do not re-engage. They may try to guilt you. You do not explain yourself. Your actions maintain the boundary, not your words. One of the most important truths about boundaries is that they reveal intentions. A healthy person will respect your boundaries. A harmful person will fight them. Boundaries don't just protect you, they expose others. Sometimes, setting boundaries will result in distance. People may pull back. Relationships may change shape. Some individuals may even leave your life entirely. But here's something powerful to remember. Anyone who leaves because you set a boundary was someone whose presence depended on you having none. And once you understand this, you stop begging for closeness with people who only valued you when you were easy to control. Setting boundaries becomes even more important when dealing with charmers, manipulators, controllers, and liars. These individuals do not respond to emotional reasoning. They respond to structural limits. They respond to consistency. They respond to consequences. They respond to you reclaiming your autonomy. The Stoics believe that freedom is an inner state, not an external condition. You become free the moment you stop letting someone else dictate your emotional weather. You become free the moment you no longer feel obligated to please someone who harms you. You become free the moment you trust your intuition more than their excuses. Marcus Aurelius said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." Boundaries protect the color of your soul. They protect your peace. They preserve your clarity. They are the armor that allows you to walk through a world filled with complex personalities without losing yourself. And now, as we close, remember this. You cannot stop harmful people from existing. You cannot prevent charm from fooling others. You cannot force empathy into someone who has none. You cannot untangle a liar's web. You cannot break someone's hunger for control. But you can protect your peace. You can preserve your clarity. You can guard your soul. You can choose differently. You can walk away quietly. You can stand firm in silence. You can embody the strength that Stoicism teaches. You are not responsible for someone's harmful behavior, but you are responsible for protecting yourself from it. And if you've made it to this point in the video, that already tells me something powerful about you. You're someone who wants to grow. You're someone who values wisdom. You're someone who seeks clarity, truth, and emotional strength. You are someone who wants to build a life that cannot be disturbed by the noise of others. So thank you for being here with me today. Thank you for listening. Thank you for choosing the path of inner strength. If this message helped you, if it opened your eyes or helped you understand something you've been feeling for a long time, I'd be grateful if you shared this video, and if you're subscribed to Stoic Quiet Strength. This is where we learn to walk with calmness, power, and wisdom, quietly, but firmly. Power in silence. Stay strong. Stay wise. Stay grounded in truth. And remember, your peace is sacred. Protect it without apology.